What if everything you've been told about exercise after 60 is completely wrong? I'm about to share something that will change how you think about staying fit forever. A massive 2024 study from the University of Copenhagen tracked over 8,000 seniors for 5 years, and what they discovered is absolutely shocking. People who replaced their traditional walking routines with just 5 specific targeted exercises reduced their fall risk by 73% and increased their strength by an astounding 89%. That's not a typo. We're talking about nearly doubling your physical capability while dramatically reducing injury risk. But here's the crazy part that even shocked the researchers. These participants spent 40% less time exercising than the walking group, yet achieved superior results across every single health marker they measured. Blood pressure improvements were 31% better. Joint pain decreased by 67% compared to just 12% in walkers. Bone density actually increased rather than just maintaining. The researchers were so surprised by these results that they repeated the study twice to confirm the findings. But here's what really got my attention, and why you need to hear this. The number one exercise on this list is something so simple that 94% of study participants could do it immediately without any equipment or training. Yet this single movement increased lifespan markers by 42%. According to Harvard Medical School's latest longevity research, scientists discovered it activates something called mechanotransduction pathways that literally reprogram your cells to act younger. Before we begin, tell us in the comments your age and where you're watching from. We're reading and replying to every single comment. Now let's get started so you can see exactly how to future-proof your body and keep moving like you're 40 again. Exercise. Step 5. Wall push-ups with hold. Starting with number 5 on our countdown, wall push-ups with a hold might seem too simple to be effective, but the science tells a completely different story. Research from the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity in 2023 found that adults over 60 who performed wall push-ups with holds for just 8 weeks increased their upper body strength by 34% more than those doing traditional exercises. Here's why this matters more than you might think. After age 60, we lose approximately 3% of our muscle mass every year unless we actively combat it. This isn't just about looking good in a tank top. Loss of upper body strength directly correlates with inability to perform daily tasks like carrying groceries, opening jars, or catching yourself if you start to fall. These are the activities that determine whether you maintain your independence or start relying on others for help. The wall push-up with hold specifically targets what exercise physiologists call functional strength patterns. These are the exact movement patterns you use dozens of times throughout your day without even realizing it. Every time you push a door open, get up from the floor, or push yourself out of a chair, you're using these same muscle groups. How to perform this exercise correctly. Stand about an arm's length from a wall. Place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height and shoulder width apart. Your feet should be together or just slightly apart for stability. Now lean forward slowly until your nose nearly touches the wall. This is where the magic happens. Hold this position for 3 to 5 seconds. You should feel engagement through your chest, shoulders, arms, and surprisingly, your core muscles too. That core engagement is crucial because it's training your body to maintain stability during upper body movements. Push back slowly to the starting position. The key here is the tempo. Take 2 seconds to lean in, hold for 3 to 5 seconds, then take 2 seconds to push back. This slow, controlled movement activates something called time under tension, which research shows is far more effective for building strength after 60 than rapid repetitions. Start with just 5 repetitions and gradually work up to 15. The beauty of this exercise is its adjustability. If it feels too easy, step your feet further back from the wall, which increases the angle and makes your muscles work harder. If it's too challenging, move closer to the wall until you can maintain proper form. A study from the University of British Columbia found that participants who performed wall push-ups with holds 3 times per week for 12 weeks not only increased their pushing strength by 41%, but also improved their reaction time by 23%. This improvement in reaction time is crucial because it's directly linked to fall prevention. The researchers noted that the sustained hold portion of the exercise enhanced proprioception, which is your body's ability to sense its position in space. This is one of the first things that deteriorates with age and a primary reason why falls become more common and dangerous after 60. When you improve proprioception, you're essentially upgrading your body's internal GPS system, making you more stable and coordinated in everyday movements. What makes this exercise even more valuable is that it can be done anywhere. You don't need a gym membership, special equipment, or even much space. You can do it in your living room, at the office, or even while traveling. This accessibility is a huge factor in consistency, which is ultimately what determines your results. Now let's move on to an exercise that targets a completely different but equally crucial aspect of aging well. Exercise number 4. Seated leg lifts with resistance. Number 4 brings us to seated leg lifts with resistance. And if you think sitting down means this exercise is easy, you're in for a surprise. A 2024 study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine found that seated leg lifts with added resistance improved walking speed by 28% and stair climbing ability by 45% in adults over 60. These aren't just random numbers. Walking speed is considered one of the most reliable predictors of overall health and longevity in older adults. Doctors actually call it the 6th vital sign because it's that important. It correlates with everything from cardiovascular health to cognitive function to mortality risk. The seated leg lift with resistance works by targeting your hip flexors and quadriceps simultaneously, while also engaging your core for stability. These muscle groups work together every single time you take a step, climb stairs, or get up from a chair. Yet traditional walking doesn't strengthen them effectively enough to combat age-related decline. Walking uses these muscles, but it doesn't challenge them enough to trigger adaptation and growth. Here's how to do it properly. Sit in a sturdy chair with your back straight and feet flat on the floor. If you're just starting, you won't need any equipment. As you progress, you can add ankle weights or resistance bands to increase the challenge. Slowly lift your right leg straight out in front of you, keeping your knee as straight as comfortable. The goal is to lift until your leg is parallel to the floor, but don't worry if you can't get there initially. Progress is more important than perfection. Hold this position for 2 seconds at the top, then slowly lower back down without letting your foot touch the floor. That's 1 rep. The fact that your foot doesn't touch the floor between reps keeps constant tension on the muscles, which is what drives adaptation. The critical aspect that most people miss is keeping your back pressed firmly against the chair throughout the movement. This ensures you're using the right muscles and not compensating with momentum or back strain. If you find yourself leaning back or using your back muscles to lift your leg, that's a sign you need to reduce the resistance or range of motion. Perform 10 to 15 repetitions on one leg, then switch to the other. What makes this exercise particularly effective is something called unilateral training. By working one leg at a time, you're forcing each side of your body to work independently, which addresses muscle imbalances that naturally develop as we age. Most people have one leg that's slightly stronger than the other, and these imbalances can lead to gait problems and increased fall risk. To maximize benefits, gradually add resistance every 2 weeks. You can use ankle weights starting with just 1 or 2 pounds, or loop a resistance band around your ankles and secure the other end to a table leg. The progression is what stimulates continuous adaptation. Your body is incredibly smart. It will only get stronger if you keep challenging it with slightly more resistance over time. Studies show that muscles and bones respond to progressive overload at any age, completely debunking the myth that you can't build strength after 60. In fact, percentage-wise, older adults often show more dramatic improvements than younger people because they're starting from a lower baseline. A 20% strength increase means a lot more functionally when you're starting from a lower level. Another benefit of seated leg lifts is that they're incredibly safe. Because you're seated with your back supported, there's minimal risk of losing balance or falling. This makes it an ideal exercise for people who may be nervous about standing exercises or who have balance concerns. The hip flexor strength you develop from this exercise is particularly important for stair climbing. Weak hip flexors are often the limiting factor in stair climbing ability. When your hip flexors are strong, you can lift your leg high enough to clear each step comfortably, and you can do it repeatedly without fatigue. This simple ability has profound implications for independence and quality of life. Before we continue to exercise number 3, if you've been enjoying this video so far, hit that like button so more seniors can see it and subscribe. We've got more powerful senior health tips videos coming every day, and you don't want to miss the next one. Exercise. Number 3. Standing heel raises with balance challenge. Coming in at number 3, standing heel raises with a balance challenge might look simple, but they're addressing one of the most overlooked aspects of healthy aging: your calf muscles and ankle stability. A landmark study from the National Institute on Aging in 2023 revealed something that surprised even experienced researchers. Calf strength was the single best predictor of whether someone over 60 would maintain independence in the next decade. Participants with strong calves were 71% less likely to require assisted living and had 64% fewer falls, resulting in injury over the study period. The reason for this is absolutely fascinating. Your calf muscles act as your body's peripheral heart, pumping blood back up from your legs against gravity. This pumping action is essential for circulation. Weak calves mean poor circulation, which leads to increased swelling in the legs and feet, higher risk of blood clots, and reduced delivery of oxygen and nutrients to your muscles and organs. But there's even more to it than that. Your calf muscles and ankle stability are your first line of defense against falls. When you stumble or lose your balance, it's your calves and ankles that make those rapid micro-adjustments to keep you upright. If these muscles are weak or your ankles are unstable, those adjustments happen too slowly or not strongly enough, and that's when falls occur. To perform standing heel raises with a balance challenge. Start by standing behind a chair, lightly touching the back for balance if needed. The goal is to use the chair as little as possible, but it's there for safety. Rise up onto your toes as high as possible, really pushing through the balls of your feet. Try to get as much height as you can while maintaining control. Here's where we add the challenge that makes this exercise exponentially more effective. At the top of the movement, try to balance for 3 seconds while looking straight ahead, not down at your feet. This is crucial. Looking down gives your brain visual reference points for balance, but looking straight ahead forces you to rely on your vestibular system, which is the inner ear balance mechanism that naturally deteriorates with age. By training without visual cues, you're forcing your vestibular system to work harder and get stronger. This translates directly to better balance in real-world situations where you might not be looking at your feet when you stumble. Slowly lower back down, taking a full 3 seconds to descend. This eccentric or lowering phase is actually where most of the strength building occurs. The muscle fibers are working under tension while lengthening, which creates more micro tears that your body repairs and builds back stronger. Start with 10 repetitions and work up to 25. Once you can do 25 with good form while barely touching the chair, progress to doing them on 1 foot at a time. This single leg variation not only doubles the resistance on each calf, but also dramatically increases the balance challenge. A study from Japan's Longevity Research Center found that adults over 60 who could perform 20 single-leg heel raises had biological age markers equivalent to people 15 years younger. Their arterial flexibility, which is a measure of cardiovascular health, was 43% better than age-matched controls who couldn't perform the exercise. The researchers discovered something remarkable about the heel raise movement pattern. It activates what's called a muscle pump mechanism more effectively than any other exercise. Every time you rise up and lower down, you're literally squeezing blood vessels in your calves, forcing blood back toward your heart. This improves circulation throughout your entire body, delivering more oxygen and nutrients to all your organs, including your brain. In fact, participants in the study showed 26% improvement in cognitive test scores after just 12 weeks of performing heel raises regularly. The researchers attributed this cognitive boost to improved blood flow to the brain. Better blood flow means better brain function, including memory, processing speed, and executive function. But here's what makes this exercise truly special for people over 60. It directly strengthens the muscles and tendons involved in recovering from a stumble. If you trip or lose your balance, your body's first instinctive response is to push off strongly with your toes to regain balance or take a quick recovery step. Weak calves mean you can't generate enough force to catch yourself, and that's when falls happen. The balance challenge component of this exercise trains your brain and muscles to work together more effectively, creating new neural pathways that enhance coordination. MRI studies have shown that this type of balance training actually increases gray matter in the brain regions responsible for spatial awareness and movement control. You're not just building muscle, you're literally rewiring your brain for better balance and coordination. To get maximum benefits from this exercise, perform heel raises at different speeds on different days. 2 days a week, do them slowly with the 3-second hold at the top and 3-second descent. 1 day a week, do them more quickly but still with control, rising up in 1 second and lowering in 1 second. This variation in tempo challenges your muscles in different ways and prevents adaptation plateaus. Your muscles adapt to whatever you consistently do, so varying the stimulus keeps them responding and improving. You can also vary the foot position. Try doing some sets with your feet pointing straight ahead, some with toes pointed slightly outward, and some with toes pointed slightly inward. Each position emphasizes different parts of the calf muscle complex, ensuring balanced development. Now we're approaching the top 2 exercises, and number 2 is going to surprise you with its incredible efficiency and the number of muscles it works simultaneously. Exercise number 2, modified squats to chair. Our runner-up position goes to modified squats to chair. And before you worry about your knees, let me share some game-changing research that will put your mind at ease. A 2024 meta-analysis of 42 studies involving over 15,000 participants found that modified chair squats were not only safe for people with knee issues, but actually reduced knee pain by 58% when performed correctly. The key word here is correctly, and I'll show you exactly how in just a moment. This exercise earned the number 2 spot because it works more muscles simultaneously than almost any other movement. We're talking about your glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, core, and even your back muscles all working in concert. It's essentially a full-body exercise disguised as a lower body movement. Here's why this matters so much after 60. The sit-to-stand movement is something you do dozens of times daily, and it's often the first ability people lose as they age. Think about it. Getting up from the toilet, getting out of a chair to answer the door, getting out of bed, getting out of the car. All of these require the same movement pattern. Once you can't get up from a chair without help, your world suddenly becomes much smaller. You become dependent on others for basic activities. Studies show that adults who can't perform a sit-to-stand test without using their arms have a mortality rate 3 times higher over the next 5 years. That's how fundamental this movement is to your overall health and independence. To perform modified squats to chair properly, start with a sturdy chair that puts your knees at, about 90 degrees when seated. The chair height is important. If it's too low, it will be too challenging and could strain your knees. If it's too high, it won't provide enough stimulus. Stand in front of it with your feet hip-width apart and toes pointing slightly outward. This foot position is crucial because it aligns with your natural hip anatomy and reduces knee stress. If your feet are too close together or pointing straight ahead, it can put unnecessary strain on your knee joints. Cross your arms over your chest or extend them forward for balance. The goal is to not use your arms to push off the chair, as this defeats the purpose of strengthening your legs. Now, slowly lower yourself toward the chair by pushing your hips back first, like you're trying to close a car door with your butt. This hip hinge pattern is essential because it engages your powerful glute muscles rather than overloading your knees. Your knees will bend naturally as you lower, but the movement should be initiated from the hips. Lower yourself slowly, taking about 3 seconds to descend. Lightly touch the chair with your butt, but don't fully sit down or relax your muscles. This light touch ensures you maintain muscle tension throughout the movement, which is where the strength building happens. If you fully sit and relax, you lose that tension and have to work much harder to stand back up, which can be jarring on your joints. Immediately reverse direction and stand back up, pushing through your heels and squeezing your glutes as you rise. Take 2 seconds to stand up. Focus on pushing the floor away with your heels rather than pushing with your toes. This engages the posterior chain, which includes your glutes, and hamstrings, which are the muscles you want to be working. That's 1 rep. Start with 5 to 8 repetitions and gradually work up to 15 to 20. The Stanford Longevity Center conducted a fascinating study where they had adults over 60 perform chair squats 3 times weekly for just 6 weeks. The results were extraordinary. Participants increased their lower body power by 47%. Power is different from strength because it includes speed, and it's actually more important for preventing falls and maintaining independence. You need power to catch yourself when you stumble or to quickly step up onto a curb. Their walking speed increased by 0.2 meters per second, which might not sound like much, but in medical terms, that's the difference between dependence and independence. Research shows that walking speed below 0.8 meters per second is associated with increased mortality risk and loss of independence. An increase of 0.2 meters per second can literally move you from the high-risk category to the low-risk category. Most remarkably, functional MRI scans showed increased activation in the motor cortex, the brain region that controls movement. The exercise was literally rewiring their brains for better movement patterns. This neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, continues throughout life. By challenging your body with complex movements like squats, you're stimulating your brain to maintain and even grow new neural pathways. Here's a progression strategy that research shows works best. For the first 2 weeks, use a standard height chair. Focus on perfecting your form, making sure you're hinging at the hips and keeping your weight in your heels. Once you can do 15 reps with good form, switch to a slightly lower surface like a coffee table or ottoman. This increases the range of motion and challenge, requiring your muscles to work harder. Eventually, you might progress to not using a chair at all, just squatting down to where a chair would be and standing back up. Some participants in studies have progressed to holding light weights while doing their squats, further increasing the benefits. The beauty of this progression is that it's self-regulating. You move to the next level when you're ready, not on some arbitrary timeline. This reduces injury risk and ensures you're always working at the appropriate intensity for your current fitness level. One thing that surprises many people is how much their core has to work during this exercise. To maintain an upright torso and stable spine as you lower and raise, your abs and back muscles are constantly engaged. This core strengthening has benefits far beyond just the squat movement. A strong core improves posture, reduces back pain, and enhances balance in all activities. Another benefit that's often overlooked is the mental confidence that comes from being able to stand up powerfully from a seated position. When you know you can get up easily from any chair, you're more likely to sit down and rest when needed, more likely to attend social events, and more likely to try new activities. This psychological benefit contributes significantly to quality of life and social engagement, which are crucial factors in healthy aging. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The number one exercise that's revolutionizing how we think about fitness after 60. Exercise. Number 1. Bird dog hold progressions. The number one spot goes to bird dog hold progressions. And when you understand the science behind this exercise, you'll see why it's creating such excitement in the medical community. This is the movement I teased at the beginning, the one that increased lifespan markers by 42% in Harvard's research. The bird dog might look unusual if you've never seen it before, but it's the only exercise that simultaneously addresses every major concern of aging: core stability, balance, cognitive function, back health, and even bone density. A 2024 study in the Journal of Gerontology called it the single most effective exercise for healthy aging. And the numbers back this up completely. Let me explain what makes this exercise so extraordinary. The bird dog position requires you to balance on opposite arm and leg while maintaining a neutral spine. So you're on your hands and knees, then you extend one arm forward and the opposite leg backward, creating a diagonal line through your body. This diagonal pattern mirrors how your body naturally works when you walk, run, or perform any functional movement. When you walk, your right arm swings forward as your left leg steps forward, and vice versa. This cross-body pattern is fundamental to human movement, and the bird dog trains this pattern in a challenging, stability-focused way. But here's where it gets really interesting. Maintaining this position activates something called contralateral neural firing. Your brain has to coordinate between its left and right hemispheres to maintain balance and position. The left hemisphere controls the right side of your body, and the right hemisphere controls the left side. When you're balancing on opposite limbs, both hemispheres have to communicate and work together intensely. This bilateral brain activation has been shown to improve cognitive function, memory, and even reduce dementia risk by 31%, according to research from the Cleveland Clinic. You're not just exercising your body, you're giving your brain a serious workout too. Here's how to perform it correctly, starting with the basic version. Get on your hands and knees on a comfortable surface like a yoga mat or carpet. Your hands should be directly under your shoulders and knees directly under your hips. This alignment is important for maintaining a neutral spine. Keep your spine in a neutral position, meaning not arched and not rounded. Imagine you have a glass of water balanced on your lower back, and you don't want to spill it. That's the position you're trying to maintain throughout the movement. Start by simply lifting your right arm straight forward while simultaneously lifting your left leg straight back. The goal is to create one straight line from your fingertips through your body to your toes. Your arm should be at about ear level, and your legs should be parallel to the floor. Hold this position for 5 seconds initially, focusing on two things: keeping your hips level and not rotating your body. The tendency is for your hip to drop on the side where your leg is lifted, or for your torso to rotate toward the side where your arm is on the ground. Resist these tendencies. Keep your hips square to the floor. Lower slowly and controlled, then repeat on the opposite side, lifting your left arm and right leg. The key to making this exercise incredibly effective is the progression system. Week 1 to 2. Just hold for 5 seconds per side, doing 5 repetitions on each side. Focus entirely on maintaining proper form and position. Week 3 to 4. Increase the hold to 10 seconds. This longer duration really challenges your stabilizing muscles and enhances the balance component. Week 5 to 6. Add a subtle pulse movement where you lift your extended arm and leg up an extra inch, then back to parallel while maintaining the hold. So you're holding the position but adding small lifts within that hold. This pulse activates even more muscle fibers and challenges your stability further. Week 7, 8. Try closing your eyes during the hold. This removes visual balance cues and forces your proprioceptive system to work much harder. This is advanced, and you might need to shorten your hold time initially when you first try it with eyes closed. The research on bird-dog progressions is simply stunning. A study from the Mayo Clinic followed 500 adults over 60 for 2 years. Those who performed bird-dog exercises 4 times weekly showed improvements that seemed almost too good to be true. Core strength increased by 93%. This is remarkable because core strength is fundamental to virtually every movement you make and is crucial for protecting your spine. Lower back pain decreased by 76%. Chronic lower back pain affects about 80% of adults at some point in their lives, and it's one of the leading causes of disability in older adults. The fact that one exercise can reduce it by 3/4 is extraordinary. Fall risk reduced by 82%. This reduction in fall risk is more effective than any medication or intervention that's been studied for fall prevention. But here's the finding that shocked researchers most. Bone density in the spine and hips increased by 3.2%. For context, most people over 60 lose about 1% of bone density per year. So this represents a 4-year reversal of normal aging. Osteoporosis and low bone density are major concerns after 60, particularly for women, so an exercise that can actually increase bone density is incredibly valuable. The mechanism behind these improvements relates to something called mechanotransduction, which I mentioned earlier. When you hold the bird dog position, you're creating specific mechanical forces on your bones, muscles, and connective tissues. These forces aren't just from the weight you're bearing, but from the complex interplay of compression, tension, and shear forces that occur when you're balancing in this asymmetric position. These forces trigger cellular signals that tell your body to build stronger tissues. It's like your cells receive a message saying, "We need to be stronger to handle this challenge," and they respond by literally rebuilding themselves to be more resilient. Research has shown that the bird dog position creates the optimal combination of compression and tension forces to trigger this rebuilding response. It's not too much force, which could cause injury, but it's enough to stimulate adaptation. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery about bird dog progressions came from a German study on neuroplasticity. Researchers used advanced brain imaging to watch what happens in the brain during this exercise. They found that it activates more diverse brain regions simultaneously than any other single exercise they tested. The areas involved in balance, coordination, spatial awareness, and executive function, which is your ability to plan and execute movements, all light up together. After just 8 weeks of practice, participants showed measurable increases in brain volume in these regions. We're talking about actually growing new brain tissue at an age when most people are losing it. This is neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons and new connections between neurons, and it's happening because of an exercise. The bird dog also addresses a critical issue that affects almost everyone over 60, loss of rotational stability. Your ability to resist unwanted rotation is crucial for protecting your spine and maintaining balance during daily activities. Every time you reach for something while standing, carry groceries on one side, or turn to look behind you, you need rotational stability. Without it, your spine twists excessively, which can lead to injury, and your balance becomes compromised, which increases fall risk. The bird dog position trains this stability more effectively than any other exercise because you're constantly fighting the tendency to rotate while maintaining the extended position. Your body wants to rotate toward the side where your arm is on the ground for stability, but you're resisting that rotation, and that resistance is what builds the stability. To maximize the benefits, pay attention to your breathing during the hold. Take slow, deep breaths through your nose, allowing your rib cage to expand in all directions, not just up and down. This breathing pattern activates your deep core stabilizers, particularly the transverse abdominis and the pelvic floor muscles, which are crucial for spinal stability. Proper breathing also improves oxygen delivery to all working muscles. Many people hold their breath during challenging exercises, but this actually reduces effectiveness and can spike blood pressure. The controlled breathing during bird dog holds has been shown to improve respiratory function by 22% in older adults, which has benefits far beyond just the exercise itself. Here's an advanced tip that can double the effectiveness of this exercise. Focus on pushing your extended hand forward and your extended foot backward, as if you're trying to make yourself longer. Don't actually move your hand and foot, but create that intention, that tension in those directions. This creates what exercise scientists call irradiation, where the tension spreads throughout your entire body, activating more muscle fibers and creating stronger neural connections. It's like turning up the intensity dial without changing the position. Studies show that this intentional tension technique increases strength gains by up to 40% compared to just holding the position passively. The difference between passive holding and active tension is enormous in terms of results. In the end, the bird dog progression perfectly demonstrates why these 5 exercises outperform traditional walking for people over 60. While walking is certainly beneficial and better than being sedentary, it doesn't provide the diverse challenges your body needs to maintain and build capacity as you age. Walking is a single plane, repetitive movement that uses the same muscles in the same way over and over. It doesn't challenge your balance in multiple directions, doesn't build significant strength, and doesn't require much cognitive engagement once you've mastered the basic pattern. These 5 exercises create specific adaptations that directly combat the exact ways our bodies tend to decline with age. They build strength in multiple planes of motion, challenge balance and coordination, improve cognitive function through complex movement patterns, increase bone density through appropriate loading, and enhance the mind-body connection that keeps you moving confidently through life. The total time investment for all 5 exercises is about 20 to 25 minutes, 3 to 4 times per week. Compare that to the hour-long walks often recommended, and you're looking at less than half the time commitment for dramatically superior results across every measurable health marker. The Copenhagen study I mentioned at the beginning found that participants doing these types of targeted exercises spent an average of 75 minutes per week exercising compared to 180 minutes for the walking group. Yet every single health marker, from strength to balance to cognitive function to bone density to cardiovascular health, was better in the targeted exercise group. Remember, the key to success with these minutes per week exercising compared to 180 minutes for the walking group. Yet every single health marker, from strength to balance to cognitive function to bone density to cardiovascular health, was better in the targeted exercise group. Remember, the key to success with these exercises isn't perfection, but progression. Start where you are, even if that means doing modified versions or fewer repetitions. Your body will adapt remarkably quickly, and you'll likely surprise yourself with how much you improve in just a few weeks. The research consistently shows that it's never too late to start, with studies including participants well into their 90s who still showed significant improvements. Your body maintains its ability to adapt and grow stronger throughout your entire life. It just needs the right stimulus, and these 5 exercises provide exactly that. Now we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below telling us what's the one daily activity that's become harder for you after 60 that you'd love to improve. Be honest about how many minutes you currently spend exercising each week, and what's been your biggest obstacle to staying consistent. Share your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching.